Hello and welcome to My Arts and Crafts. I'm Libby Hoffmeister and today I'll be playing with embossing folders and stamping foams. So here are the cards I made with the stamping foams and embossing folders. I'm going to start by showing you the embossing folders I used today. So I used Spellbinder's Circle Illusion embossing folder. This one is a 3D embossing folder. And then I also have the Spellbinder's Christmas Wrap Pattern embossing folder. And this is a regular embossing folder. It's not 3D, it's 2D. So I wanted to try both and just see what I got, and I thought it would just be fun to play with. So yeah. And then here are the stamping foams. These are from Simon Hurley, and they're kind of a squishy foam, and they're really great for stamping. You'll kind of see how they work, and they're really versatile, so I wanted to share them today. Today I'll be using the where the embossing folder is raised, so you can see that I'm using the raised side today. I will heat up the stamping foam with a heat gun. I'm heating it up with the heat gun. I'm making sure I get the heat all over. And then I tried to press the stamping foam into the embossing folder, which you'll see here. And I noticed that you didn't get the middle as much, like the middle didn't have as deep of an impression as the outside. This stamp didn't go so well. I didn't really love the depth I was getting in there. I felt like it was lacking, but that could be a really cool background as well. I didn't even try to stamp with it, so I wanted to try again. So if you heat the stamping foam with your heat gun, the pattern will disappear and you can start over. So I'm just making sure I get the heat applied all over the stamping foam, and this time I will press the embossing folder into the stamping foam. And this turned out a lot better than the last one, and I felt like I got more depth that way, but if you wanted less depth, you could try it the other way. Then for the other embossing folder, I'm using the raised side, so where you can feel the bumps, I will press that into the stamping foam. So I'm going to heat it up with my heat gun. Again, make sure I have an even coat of heat over the stamping foam, and then I will press the embossing folder into the stamping foam to reveal the impression. And this one will give me the opposite effect of the embossing folder. So it will give me a debossed look. If you were to use the embossing folder, it would look like the debossed side. So here I'm going to ink it up with some Concord and 9th inks. I am using Sorbet, Grapefruit, and a little bit of Ballet Slipper at the top, and I'm just kind of doing a fade kind of like a diagonal fade. And then you just have to spritz it with a tiny bit of water. You can see, so it's just kind of like glistening, as you can see, not super wet, just a little bit damp, and then you can press it onto your paper. This is a 5.5 by 4.25 inch stamping foam. There's tons of different sizes of stamping foam, so you can see what you like best. But I liked this because I can make an A2 size background and then trim it down as I need to. And here was my first impression with the stamping foam with the 3D embossing folder. And I really like how this background turned out, so I wanted to make some more. This background I didn't actually end up using, but I'll probably use in the future. I'm using some Distress Oxide inks in the colors Lost Shadow, Hickory Smoke, and Black Soot. And I'm just going to start with the lightest in the center, which is the Lost Shadow. Then I'll go into Hickory Smoke and a little bit of Black Soot around the edges. Again, I will just spritz it so it's kind of glistening but not like super soaking, and then I will press it onto my paper and I get a beautiful result. I wanted to try this impression one more time, so I brought out some Juniper ink from Concord and 9th, and I kind of applied it like the first one. I just used only one color of ink, so I used a heavy hand in the bottom corner and then I faded it up. I wish I had added some in the top corner there where it's kind of a little bit faded, but I think it turned out good in the end, and I will use that one on the card. And then for this other embossing folder, I'm starting by just inking up the whole stamping foam with some Dragon Fruit ink from Concord and 9th. I will stamp it there, and I will reveal the beautiful impression. And then I also wanted to try white pigment ink on this. on some dark cardstock because I thought that would be a really, really cool impression and have a fun look to it. My ink pad was a little bit dry, so I just added some ink there and I spread it out with like a little spatula. I just wanted to share that. And then I inked it up, and you can see how much more color or more ink is going onto the stamping foam. Again, I will spritz this with a little bit of water just so it's kind of lightly glistening, and then I will press it into the paper, and look at this beautiful design. I really, really love it. This on dark cardstock with the white pigment ink, I think it's so fun, and I'll definitely have to do a video on this. And then I wanted to try a few other colors of dark cardstock so you can see them there. And then I wanted to do one more background with some evergreen ink from Concord and Ninth. I will ink it up just like my first one with the dragon fruit. I'm going to ink up the whole thing, spritz it with a little bit of water, and press it onto a piece of paper. And this will create this very beautiful background. This one probably ended up being my favorite. I really, really love how it turned out, and it's a really cool color. I wanted to try to add some corals and some gold into it because I thought this would be such a fun color palette. So I'm bringing in some different colors of cardstock. These are mostly from my stash. I have some Paper Studio like open stock paper from Hobby Lobby, and some kind of like corally colors, and then I also have like a brushed gold kind of cardstock that I also found at Hobby Lobby, and I'm also bringing in a little bit of evergreen cardstock from Concord and Ninth to kind of coordinate with the evergreen ink I have on there. And I added some strips here in all different sizes, which I think is a fun way. I will cut it off, and I did add these on a slight angle just to give some interest. I added my few pieces of thin cardboard onto the back to give some dimension, and then I will add my little sentiment here. I'm using all of my sentiments I'm using today are from the Alta New Sweet Sentiments pack. This is by far my favorite sentiment pack my favorite sentiment die I've ever used. I think it's so fun, and it's really, really great. I'm also using the Spellbinders mini everyday sentiments hot foil plate, and I foil a lot ahead of time, and so then I will cut them out, and I will add them onto my cards really easy access. So I really like using these two sets together. I think they are really, really great, and they look really, really great together because they're two kind of different font styles, but they go together so well. So yeah. And then for the dark navy with the white pigment ink, I'm going to cut out, this is the Concord and Ninth Ink Blossoms. This die set, was actually from the summer camp at Concord and Ninth. So if you attended that, you can definitely use it. If not, you can choose another cover die, and this would look beautiful out of that as well. I just cut it from that, and I kept the extra pieces, which you'll see I'll do an inlay technique in just a moment. I also cut it out of just the normal navy cardstock, and then I also embossed my panels. I embossed this navy panel with the Christmas wrap pattern embossing folder that I used earlier, and you'll see I'll layer it up, and this gives a really cool effect. I also put my plain navy die cut in the embossing folder as well. I tried a few different sandwiches, but I discovered that it's the base plate, the embossing folder, and then the top cutting plate that works best to emboss this. So yeah. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of my stamped die cut here, and I will add that onto the embossed panel. And then I will set this off to dry with a acrylic block so that it adheres to the raised surface of the embossing folder. I will then add the embossed die cut with a little bit of liquid glue onto a A2 size white note card, and then I will inlay those pieces that I die cut out of with the stamping piece into those little areas for a little bit of a different look, and this is a great way to get 2 for 1 out of it. So yeah, I just cut off the excess of the cardstock that was hanging off, and then I will add that with a little bit of some thin cardboard on the back to a white note card as well. And here you can see me inlaying the pieces. Tweezers really help with this. I also used a pickup stick that also helped with the really, really tiny pieces. Again, I noted this in my last video, but if you are liking the new filming setup, or if you don't like it, let me know in the comments so that I know how to edit my videos so that they are interesting and fun for you to watch. I thought this made it a little bit more interesting and gave you a different perspective of my creative process, so I thought this was fun, but I'd love to know your opinion on it. And then I will just add those finishing little pieces in with a pickup stick, again as I said, and then adding the thin cardboard onto the back, and this all onto a white note card, which is A2 sized. And then I will just finish it off with those Altenew Sweet Sentiments again. These are my favorite sentiments, and I think they look so good. I think these are kind of like really elegant cards, sort of, so I thought these sentiments paired perfectly with it. So yeah, I will just add those sentiments onto these cards, and that will pretty much finish it off. Then for these other cards, I just kept these ones really simple. I just cut the panels down, added some thin cardboard to the back, as well as added it onto a colored note or a colored card base, and then I kept it really simple so that I could just let the background shine, and I thought it was a nice, clean, and simple design. I will then again add those Altenew Sweet Sentiments, as well as the mini everyday sentiments from Spellbinders that I foiled. I think today I used the matte gold foil as well as the matte white foil on these cards. So if you were wondering about that, that's the foil I used on those. And then that will pretty much finish off the cards. I'm just going to add a few embellishments. So I decided to add some centers to the flowers with a few pearls. These are matte gold pearls from Pink Fresh Studio. You could die cut out the centers, and I probably would have liked that better, but I think this looked okay. Then on the other one, I wanted to try some centers with some marshmallow pearls from Studio Katya. I preferred the matte gold in the end, but I think it still turned out okay. And then I will also add a little white heart to under the sentiments. Again, adding another white heart to this one, and then a few little white sequins around the sentiment to finish that one off. And then for these last ones, I will add the white sequins again and a little white heart to finish them off. And that finishes the cards for today. Here is a final look at all of the cards that we made today. I think these ones are really beautiful, and they were really fast backgrounds to create and pretty simple cards to create. So I hope you enjoyed, and you come back next week. Thank you again. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and come back next week for a new video. If you are interested in any of the supplies I used today, check the description box below. For more inspiration, please consider liking and subscribing, and for even more inspiration, check out my Instagram and Pinterest accounts at My Starts and Crafts. Thank you so much again. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.